this is for you. Okay, beautiful. The next generation. So we would like to welcome now Maria Lopez Cisneros, who will introduce Karla Gomez Pelayo, our first speaker. Maria is a high school administrator and first-generation college graduate. She is the board president of the Napa County Hispanic Network and principal of Valley Oak High School. Here she is.
Hello, Napa. How are we doing? You know, it is an honor to be here today to present and introduce to you one of the most amazing women that I know, that I've watched grow since we met in her high school career. But before I introduce her, let me just share with you a little bit of my reflection today. As I gather with all of you at School Street and Second, I reflected on being a child of an immigrant family, of how the message was be silent, don't draw too much attention to self. And as I sat there and I stood there and I started walking, I realized that today we are no longer silent. We will use our voice. We will use our vote to send a clear message that we're here to stay, not just as immigrants, but as community members, as women, as men, as children. So that is my reflection for today. That is my voice, and that's my truth as I stand here before you. And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you Karla Enedina Gomez Pelayo. She was born in Jalisco, Mexico, and raised in the Napa Valley from a young age. She is a first-generation graduate of the University of California, Berkeley, with a bachelor's degree in ethnic and Chicano studies. All right? She will pursue a PhD in the next few years, and I can't wait to see that. Currently, Karla works with the Legacy Youth Project, a transformative social justice and youth development program within our district. It is a pleasure and honor to bring to the stage Ms. Karla Enedina Gomez Pelayo.
Just organize myself here. Thank you for having me here today. I'm going to be speaking in Spanish so that my mother can understand what I'm saying, and then I will speak in English. Buenos días y gracias por estar aquí. Honro a las personas indígenas de esta tierra en cual estamos parados. Batwen, Onastasi, Miwok y Pomo. Como académica y organizadora comunitaria, estoy inspirada por el legado y la resiliencia de personas hermosas de color que han abierto el camino para que yo esté aquí. En las palabras de la autora hindú Arundhati Roy, otro mundo no solo es posible, ella está en camino. En un día tranquilo puedo escuchar su respiración. Es esta responsabilidad socioecológica la cual me inspira a crear un mundo mejor para mi familia y futuras generaciones. Aunque no todos nos conocemos hoy, su presencia me dice que usted o sus seres queridos viven aquí. Su presencia me dice que Napa es su hogar. Su presencia me dice que le preocupa nuestra comunidad. Su presencia también me dice que sus padres, usted o sus tatarabuelos inmigraron aquí, al menos que sean nativos o indígenas de esta tierra. Después de emigrar de México con mi madre y mi hermano en 1993, Napa se convirtió en mi hogar. Al crecer en este valle, desde un principio fui testigo de las graves desigualdades económicas. Uno de mis primeros trabajos durante las vacaciones de la escuela fue ayudar a mi madre a limpiar casas. Estas casas eran masivas y muchas veces las propiedades tenían casas vacías para huéspedes. Frecuentemente, cuando mi madre me pedía un aumento de salario digno, sus peticiones eran cuestionadas y negadas. Cuando regresaba a casa de estas mansiones, veía a mis padres batallar económicamente, viviendo de cheque a cheque. Cuando estaba en la escuela secundaria, perdimos nuestra casa. Cada vez que tengo la oportunidad, continúo ayudando a mi madre a limpiar casas. Las condiciones que vi en mi juventud se han empeorado y crean una marginación social. Como una ingresada reciente a la universidad, no me alcanza para poder vivir aquí. Mi familia y las personas que sostienen esta sociedad no pueden darse el lujo de vivir en ella o han sido obligadas a irse. El costo de la riqueza en el Valle de Napa no puede ser la pobreza. ¿Qué comunidad queremos crear? Sí. ¿Para quién es el desarrollo y a quién le beneficia? ¿Qué áreas o vecindarios de nuestra comunidad se embellecen? ¿Cómo será nuestra comunidad el próximo año, en 2 años, en 5 años? ¿Y quién vivirá aquí? No necesitamos más desarrollo en esta tierra indígena robada hasta que hayamos desarrollado nuestra humanidad, nuestra conciencia, nuestro sentido de la justicia y nuestra responsabilidad socioecológica. Al mirar alrededor de esta manifestación, me doy cuenta que es posible reunirse en una multitud y que a ustedes les preocupa la justicia. El mundo que merecemos requiere un compromiso por vida. Nuestras luchas requieren que estemos presentes todo el año. Me pregunto, ¿defenderemos los derechos de los trabajadores del campo? ¿Lucharemos por lo que nos paguen overtime hoy? ¿Protegeremos a nuestros inmigrantes? ¿Dejaremos que la migra nos separe y atorice? ¿Detendremos la deforestación y la contaminación del agua? ¿Eliminaremos las mascotas indígenas racistas de nuestras escuelas? ¿Abogaremos por el control de renta y la vivienda de bajos ingresos? Y por último, nos aseguraremos que existan condiciones dignas para que podamos prosperar. Nuestro bienestar depende de nuestro compromiso para movilizarnos y organizarnos para estos problemas. Este trabajo no ha sido fácil. Hemos sido marginados, explotados, amenazados, usados y expulsados de nuestra comunidad. Para mis compañeros y todos aquellos que luchan para otro mundo mejor, gracias. Now I'll be translating this to English. Gracias. Thank you for having me here today. I honor the indigenous peoples of the land that we stand on, Patwin, Onastasi, Miwok, and Pomo. As a scholar and community organizer, I am inspired by the legacies and resilience of beautiful people of color who have paved the path for me. In the words of Indian author Arundhati Roy, another world is not only possible, she is on her way. On a quiet day, I can hear her breathing. It is a socio-ecological responsibility that inspires me to create a better world for my family and future ancestors. Although we do not know each other, your presence tells me a lot. Your presence tells me that you or your loved ones live here. Your presence tells me that Napa means home. Your presence tells me that you care about our community. Your presence also tells me that either you, your parents, or your great-great-grand relatives migrated here, unless you are indigenous to this land. After migrating from Mexico with my mother and brother in 1993, Napa became my home. Growing up in this valley, I witnessed the economic inequities at a very young age. One of my first jobs during school vacation was helping my mother clean houses. These houses were massive, and oftentimes these properties had vacant guest homes. One house had an entire playground set. I felt like I was at school. Often, when my mother would ask for pay increase and livable wages, her requests were not only questioned but denied. I would leave these mansions to return home and see my parents financially struggle, living paycheck to paycheck. When I was in high school, we lost our home. Whenever I have the opportunity, I continue helping my mother clean houses. The inequities I witnessed in my youth have worsened. These conditions are economic apartheid. As a recent college graduate, I cannot afford to live here. My family cannot afford to live here. And the very people who sustain our community either cannot afford to live here or already have been pushed out. The cost of wealth in the Napa Valley cannot be poverty. We must do better. What community do we wish to create? Thank you. Who is development for and who does it benefit? What areas or neighborhoods in our community get beautified? What will our community look like next year, in 2 years, in 5 years? And who will be able to live here? We do not need any more gentrification or development on this stolen indigenous land until we have developed our humanity, our consciousness, our sense of justice, and our socio-ecological responsibility. And it is my socio-ecological responsibility that requires me to ask about your own. What is your socio-ecological responsibility to our community? How will you use your economic, social, political, electorate, male, hetero, and or white privilege? How will you use your privilege? Can you be politically correct and remain critical? Can your volunteerism be rooted in and led by those directly impacted? ¿Están dispuestos a organizar eventos y difundir información en los idiomas que hablamos? Are you willing to make events and information accessible to the languages spoken in our community? For the women here in positions of power, how will you uplift women of color? As I look around at this overwhelming turnout, your presence tells me that it is possible to come together in masses and that you care about our home. The justice we deserve and the world I believe in requires a lifelong commitment. Our intersectional struggles require you to show up in all forms, shapes, and capacities all year long. I ask myself, will you defend farm worker rights? Will you ensure equal overtime pay? Will you protect immigrants? Will you stop ICE, La Migra, from terrorizing our community? Will you halt deforestation and saltwater intrusion? Will you remove the racist mascot? Will you advocate for rent stabilization and low-income housing? And ultimately, will you create humanizing conditions for us to thrive? Our survival depends on our commitment to mobilize and organize to address these issues. This work has not been easy. We have been marginalized, ostracized, exploited, threatened, tokenized, and pushed out of our community. To my comrades and all those who create another world, thank you. Thank you. Gracias.